Hi everyone, it's Terry here again. Always providing quality tuition. Um, so in this video, I'm going to be looking at some of the solutions to the July or June 2021 paper, right? I know some students said the paper was a bit difficult, but you'll see it wasn't that bad, right? So those of you interested in CSEC Maths classes, you all can always contact me at this number here via WhatsApp, right? So let's just have a look at the first question that came on the paper, right? Now, in this question here, right, it's a question on fractions, and they said using a calculator or otherwise calculate the exact value. Now, they said using a calculator or otherwise, right? So I'm going to be using a calculator to do this. Now, you have 1 4/7 divided by 2/3 minus 1 5/7. Now, what we're going to do first, we're going to do this division first because there's an order in which we do operations, and that looks like this, right? I'm sure many of you all have heard this before. It's BODMAS. We do brackets first, then we do off, we do division, multiplication, addition, and then subtraction. So in terms of the order for this particular question here, I'm going to be doing the division first. So 1 4/7 divided by 2/3. In order to divide this, 1 4/7 is a mixed number. I need to write that as an improper fraction. So in order to do that, 1 4/7 is actually equal to, so this is a mixed number. So it's 1 multiplied by 7, and then we have to add 4. So that's 11, right? So therefore, I can write 1 4/7 as 11/7. So this here is 11/7, right? Divided by 2/3, right? Minus 1 5/7, right? Now, for those of you who would have worked this out by hand, right? This would have been 11/7. We need to change this division side to multiply, and we need to invert, right? So this becomes 3/2. And then you're going to have to do the subtraction of 1 5/7, right? So this here is going to be 33/14 minus 1 5/7, right? So I'm just going to use a calculator at this point to work this out. All right, so what we're going to do here, we're going to perform this subtraction on the calculator. All right. So this is 33/14. Right, I'm using the fraction aspect of this calculator, minus 1 5/7, and I'm going to get 9/14 as my answer. I'm going to get 9/14, right? So let me just double check this before we continue. 1 4/7 divided by 2/3 minus 1 5/7. Yeah, I'm getting 9/14 as the answer, right? So 2 marks just for that. Next one here now, part B. When Megan started working, she was paid $85 each week. After a 6-month probationary period, her pay was increased by 20%. How much was she paid after the increase? So she's currently working for $85 each week, and we want to increase this by 20%. So all we need to do, right? So we need to work out her increase, right? So let's make sure the calculator is not blocking you guys. Right, so we're working on the increase here. So the increase is simply going to be 20%, right, off the $85, right? So this is the same as saying 20 over 100 multiplied by $85, right? And we're going to use a calculator to work that piece out. So right, so 20%, that's 20 over 100, right? So 20 over 100 multiplied by $85, right? And we're gonna get $17, right? So she's getting an increase of $17 here. So therefore, this is going to be $17. So therefore, they want to know what is her P after the increase. So her new P, right, is simply going to be the $85 plus the increase, which is $17, right? And what I'm going to get here is 85 plus 17. You're going to get $102, right? So that's an increase in P, $102, right? So that's part B. In part C now, we say they have in 1965, the population of our country was this figure here, 2,714,000. And in 2015, it increased to 3,663,900. Write the population in 2015 correct to three significant figures, right? So we're looking at 2015. So we want to look at this number here. And you want to write that to three significant figures. This here is my first significant figure. This is my second. And this is my third significant figure. This one here is my fourth significant figure. So we need to pay attention to what this figure is, this 3 here, because that determines if we have to increase this third one or not. So if I were to write this to three significant figures, it's going to be 3,660,000. So that's my answer to three significant figures, right? In part B now, they want your population in 1965. Now, hopefully you all didn't mix this up in the exam. This here is your 1965 population, and you want to write that in standard form. So if you have 2,714,000 and you want to write this in standard form, your decimal point is here. So we're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're going to stop there. So my answer in standard form is going to be 2.714, right, by 10 to the power 6, right? If you move to the left, the exponent is going to be positive. That's why we have 10 to the power 6, right? If you move to the right, it would have been negative. So that's part C, right? So we're still in question 1 here. Second part now, they said, what is the percentage increase? Now, anytime they ask you about percentage increase, right? So percentage increase, right, is simply equal to whatever the change was, right, divided by my original value, right, multiplied by 100%. That's how we find percentage change in anything. So my change, so let's look at this here. So we're going from 1965 to 2015, right? So we're looking at the 2015 value, which is the 3,663,900. So 3,663,900, right, minus the original value, which is 2,714,30. So this is 2,714,30 divided by my original value, which is 2,714,30, multiply by 100%, right? That's how we work out this percentage change. Now let's make sure I have the correct numbers. 2,714,000, and the next one is 3,663,900. All right, so we're okay with that. Now let's get our trusty calculator to work that out. Right. Okay, So we have 3,663,900, right? That's 3,663,900 minus my 2 million, so 2714,123. I think I have an extra zero there. 2714,123. I get this number here. That's my increase. Now I have to divide that by the original amount. So divide that by 2714,123. You're going to get this. And then we have to multiply that by 100%. And you're going to get 35. So I'm getting a 35% increase in my population. So therefore, this here is 35%, right? That's my percentage increase. Oh, and then we have a next piece here now. So the ratio of teachers to male students to female students. Okay, so they give us a ratio. That's 3 to 17 to 18. So this here is teachers. This one here is male students, right? And this 18 here is female students, right? So therefore, this figure, male to female here, this represents students, right? Now, the total number of students is 630, right? So the total number of students is 630. Determine how many teachers in the school. Now, when you are looking at ratio, we need to think of it in terms of parts. So in terms of teachers, we have 3 parts. We have 17 male students and we have 18 female students. That's in terms of parts, right? Now, in terms of, they told us the number of students is 630, right? So for students, right, our total number of parts will be 17, right, plus 18, which will give us 7, 15. This will give us a total of 35, right? Now, our total parts, if we're looking at the ratio itself, so our total parts, right, is going to be equal to 3 plus the 17 plus the 18, right? And that's going to give me a total of 38, right? That's my total. 38 is my total amount of parts that I have, right? Now, in terms of students, we have 35 parts, right? Now, that 35 parts, right, that actually corresponds to 630 students, right? That corresponds to 630 students. So what we could do here, we could figure out how much one part is. So one part, right, is simply going to be 630 divided by 35, and that's going to give me, so that's 630 divided by 35, and you're going to 18 students, right? That gives me a total of 18 students. So one part, remember the ratio here, right, is actually made up of 38 parts, right? But one part is actually equivalent to 18 students. So the question is asking how many teachers we have here. So in terms of teachers, so with respect to the teachers, right, from that ratio, we know that teachers actually corresponds to 3 parts, right? But you already know what one part is. One part is 18. It's equivalent to 18 students, right? So therefore, number of teachers, right, since the number of teachers is actually 3 parts, is going to be equal to 3 parts multiplied by how much is one part, which is 18, right? So it's simply 3 multiplied by 18, and that's going to give me 54 teachers, right? So this gives me a total of 54 teachers, right? All right, so let's take a look at the working on the side here. I just realized I had the calculator, right? So that takes care of question 1. Now let's look at question 2 here, right? Now question 2 was pretty straightforward, right? So they said two quantities, n and t, are related by this equation here. N is equal to the square root of t. Find the value of n when t is equal to 49, right? So n is equal to the square root of t, but t is 49. So the square root of 49 is going to be 7. Now notice here, they said the value of n, right? Normally, if we were to find the square root of something, we have two values. It can be positive 7 or it can be negative 7, right? But the fact that they told me value, I'm only concerned with the positive value, which is 7. That's it, right? The second part here, they want to make t the subject of the formula, right? So this is one of the easiest change the subject of the formula I've seen in a while. So the question is this: n is square root of t, and you want to make t the subject of the formula. I can write this over as the square root of t is equal to n, right? That's true. And if you have a square root sign, the easiest way to get rid of a square root sign is to square both sides. So what you're going to do, you're going to do this. You're going to square this side, the left-hand side, and you're also going to square the right-hand side, right? Whenever you have a square root sign being squared, so let me show you exactly what I mean. Right? Now, square root can be written as t to the power half, right? And we're squaring this. Now, when you're squaring this here, all you're doing, you're taking the half on the inside and you're multiplying by this 2 on the outside here. A half by 2 is going to give me 1, right? So that's why when we square a square root, the square root sign disappears. Right? So therefore, all we're going to end up here with is t is equal to n squared. Now, the question was so simple that they only give you 1 mark for this, right? Now, in part B now, so this may have been a little challenge for several students. So Ali is X years, Jim is 5 years older than Ali, and Chris is twice as older than Ali. Write expressions for Jim's age and Chris' age. Okay, so Jim is 5 years older than Ali. Now remember, this is Ali's age here. He's X. So if Jim is 5 years older, then Jim should be X plus 5. That's how old he's supposed to be. Now Chris's age now. So they said Chris is twice as old as Ali. But if Ali is X, then this has to be 2X, right? So that's it. 1 mark each for both of these here. The next part. In 2 years' time, okay, so this one gets a little complicated. So let's see, so let's look at now, right? Product of Ali's and Chris's age is square. So let's put down all of these guys we're talking about here. So we have Ali, we have, let's see the order in which I had it here, Ali, Jim, and Chris. So we have Ali, we have Jim, and we have Chris. Now, currently, Ali is X, right? Jim is X plus 5. Jim is X plus 5. And Chris is 2X. That's what we worked out in the first part. Now they said in 2 years' time, right? So this is 2 years' time, right? So 2 years from now, what's going to happen? His age is going to increase by 2. So he's going to become X plus 2. In the case of Jim, he's going to be X plus 5 plus an x2 because he's increased by 2 years, and Chris is going to be 2x plus 2, right? So we have what it is now and what it's going to be in 2 years' time. Now let's see what they are telling us here. So students should like these kinds of questions where they say show, because you know what the answer is supposed to be. So in 2 years' time, the product of Ali's age and Chris's age, so we're looking at Ali's and Chris, right, will be the same. So let's read the question carefully here. So the product, so let's write exactly what they're saying here. So the product, so that is X plus 2, right, multiplied by 2X plus 2. So the product of Ali and Chris, right, will be the same as the square of Jim's present age. Now Jim's present age is this fella here. So don't get confused. So the product of Ali and Chris's age 2 years later is equal to the square of Jim's age now. So that's going to be X plus 5, and we're going to square this, right? So based on this statement here alone, I can come up with this equation. right? Now notice they're giving you plenty marks for this. That is 3 marks. So now we have to show that, well, this is a quadratic here, so we have to show this. So what we're going to do, we're going to simplify that. Now, let's see. Now I'm going to do this in parts. So let's come across here. First thing I'm going to multiply is x plus 2 multiplied by 2x plus 2. Right? That's what I'm going to do first. So when you have to multiply a bracket like this, what we need to do, we need to take the first term and multiply by the first term here. So x by 2x is going to give me 2x squared. Then I'm going to take this x and I'm going to multiply by this. This is going to give me 2x. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this 2 and multiply by this 2x. So that's going to give me plus 4x. And then I'm going to take this 2 and multiply by this 2 and I'm going to get plus 4. So I'm going to simplify that and I'm going to get 2x squared plus 6x plus 4. Right? So let's just double check that. 2x squared plus 2x. 2 2s are 4. Right. So that's what we get in here. Right? So that's only this part of the equation I just worked out here. I'm going to work out this here as well. So that is saying x plus 5 squared. Now x plus 5 squared is the same as saying x plus 5 multiplied by an x plus 5. And we're going to use the exact same method that I just used there to simplify this. So this x by this is going to give me x squared. Then I'm going to take this x and multiply by this 5. I'm going to get 5x, right? Then I'm going to take this 5 by this. I'm going to get another 5x, right? And then I'm going to take this 5 by this 5 here, and I'm going to get 25. So this is going to be x squared plus 10x plus 25. So what I've done, I've worked out both sides of the equation. So let me just put in those figures here now. So this is going to be 2x squared plus 6x plus 4 is equal to x squared plus 10x plus 25. Right? So now, remember what we're trying to prove here? We're trying to prove this here. Right? So let's see. In order to get that equation equal to 0, I need to put everything on my left-hand side. So this becomes 2x squared plus 6x, right, plus 4 minus x squared minus 10x, right, minus 25 is equal to 0. So we're getting there. We're almost there. So now let's deal with the x squared term. You have 2x squared here and you have minus x squared here. So this is going to give me x squared. Then I have 6x here and I have minus 10x here. So 6 minus 10x is going to give me minus 4x. So this is going to be minus 4x. Then I have 4 here and I'm subtracting 25. So 4 minus 25 is going to give me minus 21, which is equal to 0, which is what we just proved, right? So you just put this here and that's it. We proved what they asked us to prove, and that's 3 marks, right? So that's straightforward enough. Next part, they want us to calculate Ali's present age. Now, Ali, remember Ali is X, right? His present age is X. So what they're really trying to ask us to do is to solve this equation. X squared minus 4x minus 21 is equal to 0. That's what they're trying to ask us to solve in SMART, you know. Right? Now there's only 2 marks for this, right? So we're going to attempt to factorize this quadratic here. Now we have x squared minus 4x minus 21. That's what we're trying to solve, right? So it's x squared minus 4x minus 21, right, is equal to 0. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to factorize this on the side here in my working column, right? So some students could look at this and they can factorize it in one go, and that's fine. If you can, then go ahead and do that, right? But this is what I typically teach my class to do. So x squared minus 4x minus 21, and I'm going to factorize that. So what I normally do, we say here what? I need to find 2 numbers whose sum, right, has to be whatever the coefficient of x is. So the sum is minus 4, and the product, right, is whatever the coefficient of x squared is multiplied by whatever the constant is. So minus 21. So this is minus 21. right? So now we need to figure out here what two numbers, when I multiply them, I'm going to get minus 21, but when I subtract them, I'm going to get minus 4. So if I use, let's say, minus 7 and positive 3, let's see if that can work. If I take minus 7 and I add it to 3, yes, I get minus 4. And if I take minus 7 and multiply by 3, yes, I get minus 21. So what that means is that, now this is how we use this method. So we use x squared, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace this middle term using these two numbers here. So it's going to be x squared minus 7x plus 3x minus 21, right? So we go ahead and we factorize. At this point here, we're going to use factorizing by grouping. So the first two terms, I can pull out x, and this becomes x minus 7, right? So I tell my students, don't put the sign here as yet. We have 3x and minus 21, so you can factor out 3, and this is going to be x minus 7, right? So the only way that can happen is if this is a positive sign. So therefore, when I factorize this, I'm going to get x minus 7, right, multiplied by x plus 3. So that's how we factorize this expression here. Now, we still haven't worked out the question as yet. So, because I've factorized this, I can write this as x minus 7, right, multiplied by x plus 3 is equal to 0, right? Now, this is a quadratic we're trying to solve here. So, you're going to get two solutions in this particular case. So, we can say either, right? So, either we can say x minus 7, that's the first bracket. We're going to put that equal to 0, right? Therefore, x is equal to 7, right? That's one solution. Our OR solution now is going to be this. The second bracket needs to be, we have to put that equal to 0. So then this becomes x is equal to minus 3. But we're dealing with the age of somebody here. So what we're going to do, we're going to reject this, right? So you're going to reject this age. You can't have a negative age. So my answer, right, is 7 years, right? That's the age of Ali. The answer is 7 years, right?